A disturbing child sex abuse trial is currently underway in France. The details of this case, they may be upsetting to many of our viewers.
According to French prosecutors, a former surgeon sexually abused or in some cases raped nearly 300 young patients under his care. NBC News International correspondent Molly Hunter has more on how the doctor was able to practice medicine despite years of warnings and red flags.
That's right. Today in Western France, a disturbing trial has begun. A former surgeon is charged with the alleged rape or sexual abuse of 299 victims, most of them children who were his patients. Now, investigators have described a pattern of abuse spanning over 3 decades. Joël Le Scouarnec, now 74 years old, will come face to face with hundreds of his alleged victims. Now, the former doctor is already 4 years into a separate 15-year sentence for rape and sexual assault of children. That was back in 2020. But this trial comes at a moment in France as activists are pushing to lift taboos around sexual abuse. You'll remember the very high-profile case, of Gisèle Pelicot, who was drugged and raped by dozens and dozens of men, including her ex-husband. They were convicted back in December to prison terms ranging from 3 to 20 years. But the conversation is changing in France, and today outside the courthouse, child protection and women's rights groups are gathering to show their support of the victims. This case came to light back in 2017 when a 6-year-old neighbor said the former doctor touched her through the fence of their shared property. Now, as the investigation began, more than 300,000 photos, including pedophilic imagery, as well as notebooks that he himself kept, writing and describing himself as a pedophile. Those were all uncovered on the property. The trial will examine alleged abuses from 1989 to 2014, and most of the victims, as I mentioned, were children, patients of his, and were an average age of 11 at the time, both boys and girls, mostly when they were alone in their hospital rooms, according to the investigation. The trial is expected to get a ton of publicity in France and globally and last up to 4 months. The former surgeon faces 2 decades in prison if convicted.
Thanks for watching. Stay updated about breaking news and top stories on the NBC News app or follow us on social media.